Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Stansfield. I am a 35-year-old artist until next month from Utah. And today I'm doing a digital painting, a Doctor Who illustration, and we're gonna go from the thumbnail stage all the way to the finished digital painting. So let's go. So I have these little like cardstock pieces that I cut into different ratio sizes. And I like to use them in my sketchbook for thumbnails or just to create space for drawings. Or if I know like what size I want the print to be, so I can get the composition right from the start. Doesn't always work, but it's good in theory. So I did 4 thumbnails to kind of figure out a sort of composition or plan for this painting. I had the idea pretty clearly. I really didn't like this one. This was a really bad one. It looks very silly. But yeah, I did 4 of them, and I was gonna do more, but this one that I'm doing now, I ended up just falling in love with. So I knew that was gonna be it. It totally captured the essence of what I was going for. So I only did 4 thumbnails. This illustration is based on the A Christmas Carol episode of Doctor Who with the 11th Doctor, and I just think it's the most magical thing that these fish on this planet swim in the fog. I don't know, there's just something about it for me. And I really wanted to do an illustration where Eleven's on that planet with the fish. I turned him into goldfish though, because I just wanted to paint goldfish. And I really wanted to capture Eleven's really childlike excitement for things like this. And it's, you know, it's such a juxtaposition with the Doctor's dark side. So yeah, I love that second one. So here I go in and I do a slightly bigger thumbnail sketch. Same ratio. This is 11 by 14. If I ever do a print of this, that'll be like the main size, which is kind of standard for me. I had a really hard time with this particular drawing here, and through this whole video, I'm gonna cut ahead on and off because this whole thing took me about 15 hours, and I didn't really think that anyone wanted to be here for that long. So yeah, if you see jumping ahead, it's just because it's more of the same thing, and I didn't figure that you wanted to see every single second of that. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to capture the essence of the small thumbnail again and kind of play with the composition still and see if I liked it slightly bigger and the values just a little bit. I end up simplifying the fish quite a lot later, which is fine. I always take notes when I'm doing my thumbnails because there's always things that are just not quite right on the little sketches that I am noticing, and I want to keep in mind for when I'm actually doing my final drawings. And I don't want to forget that stuff because I don't do all this at the same time. I have a chronic illness, and I often am doing this over a period of days or even weeks sometimes. So to have notes is a really, really good thing for me. So I go in again on a 9 by 12 page here, and this whole sketch took me a while. Excuse me. I was just having a really hard time getting it right, but I start to get the pose right. It was really interesting to try to capture the motion that I was going for and keeping in mind that childlike excitement that I really wanted in the piece. And it's always, I'm sure that anybody who's like done thumbnails and then tried to do the pose bigger has the same problem of it's so easy to capture gesture on a really small scale, and when you're trying to refine that and make it bigger, it is a massive challenge. So that was interesting. I also, with his arms raised up, was trying to get his coat to look right, and it's like I did have to look up what that looks like. And it's like, oh yeah, it lifts up really high in the shoulders. So eventually I get there. I am really pleased with how his coat turns out actually in the end. It just, like, the motion of it and everything, I feel really excited about. Which is nice because I'm slowly working on a digital illustration of Kaladin from the Stormlight Archive, and his coat hates me, so, you know, maybe someday I'll get that one right too. Alright, I decided to go over this again, this time with a graphite pencil. Everything I was using before this was a blue col-erase pencil, by the way. I clean this up fairly well, like I get it fairly refined, but not perfectly. And here, I do this face about 1 billion times, and I didn't even record the final time that I finally got it right because it took me forever. And I didn't cut out any of the times that I erased and started over for the time that I actually was recording while I was drawing, because I want people to see that excuse me guys, I want people to see, especially young artists or artists who are really just getting started, you need to know that messing up and not getting it right and having to try and try and try again is normal, even for someone who's been drawing for years, decades. So I didn't cut it out. I wanted this here so that there's a glimpse of the truth, like, because often a lot of videos like this cut out all of the mistakes and all of the challenges and just speed through and show you the parts where it's working. And I wanted to give a little glimpse at least of when it's not working. This was such a pain. And what I ended up doing, I don't record constantly. See, I finally got it right. I found a profile reference of 11 and put that on my phone, put it right next to my page, and I slowed down. I was like, okay, I gotta take this really slow. I gotta pay really close attention to the relationships between the facial features and put them in the right place. And it still took me many more tries that you didn't see, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta stop recording because your brain starts to like freak out about, oh, I'm being watched even though you're not, you know, which just makes it harder. But yeah, finally got the face right, and this is really sketchy, but I knew exactly what I was going for, and so I scribbled in his clothes and everything. This leg was another, the leg that's lifted off the ground was another area that I really, really struggled with. I couldn't get it to look right. And even once I get it right in this sketch, I feel I do actually move it again later digitally. So, you know, erasing again, and here we go. Yeah, just keep trying. And this was nice actually because I hadn't drawn in graphite in a really long time. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like graphite. I've just been drawing with col-erase pencils, so it was nice to go back to my roots. And I've actually been picking up my graphite more since this sketch, which I think I did this sketch about a month ago now. This painting has taken me a while. However, it was really cool for me to record this process from start to finish, and to have the solid goal of finishing it, because this has never been so streamlined for me, even though it's actually still kind of a mess. It was cool to see though, and cool to watch it back. Here is the still quite messy, but generally finished sketch. I feel like, oh hey, I can do this digitally. I can go from here. And so I scanned it in, and I actually made some adjustments. Like I felt like his legs weren't long enough, etc., etc. I changed the image size to an 11 by 14 so that I could get the composition right for if I ever decided to print it. This is just kind of my standard go-to size. And usually I can crop it down for smaller prints if I decide to do that. I find it to be a very versatile ratio for myself. I wanted to try something that I'd never done before. I really had a very clear picture in my head of how I wanted this image to look, but backgrounds are not my forte. I haven't done a whole lot of that. And so I decided to kind of go in with like a value, I wouldn't say study, just like precursor. I was blocking out the different elements, and at this point I'm just like picking somewhere on the grayscale and throwing it in there. But as you can see, I start to like mess around with how it's gonna look value wise, and this doesn't stay exactly it, but it gave me an idea to work with. I don't hate myself, so I wanted the TARDIS in there, but I wanted it to be quick, so I did what you just saw. Yeah, just traced over a TARDIS because why not? It simplified the process and whatever, you know? Yeah, so I'm doing line art here. I don't have the whole process on here, but here's some of it. I am using a slightly textured brush that looks kind of like chalk, in case you're wondering. I don't remember where I got it, so I can't give it to you because I didn't make it myself. I guess I could post it for free somewhere, but I want to see if I can... I don't know if it's from a paid pack or not, so maybe not. Sorry. If I ever find out what it is and know that it's not something from a paid pack that someone made, I can share that. So I guess stay tuned in the future. It's essentially just a round chalk brush though, with some texture, so it's not fancy or anything. It is one of my favorite brushes though. I really like Eleven's shoes. I like drawing shoes. I'm not great at it all the time, but I really enjoy drawing shoes, so here are these great shoes. I completely free-handed this background, and it's very simple. It's like very one-point perspective-ish, and nothing super fancy. This planet, in case you haven't seen the show, and I'm not really gonna give anything away, just the setting is sort of like Victorian London with some twists, and the area that he's in is pretty, I guess, poorer section. Yeah, not fancy. So I just kept it really simple with basically a brick wall and a tunnel back there, and there's a window. Nothing crazy. TARDIS in the foreground, and yeah, here I am just continuing to kind of mess with value stuff. After I finished my line art, I wanted to clean up these shadows. Yeah, and then I start painting, and again, not all of this is in here. I unfortunately didn't record the part where I painted in the bricks, and I'm really sad about it because I thought it was cool. So maybe someday I'll paint bricks again and you can see how I did it. But yeah, I decided to go into this and like keep in mind that like I'm not gonna overthink this because I could have psyched myself out and freaked myself out really bad. But I just kept going and stayed calm, and I'm actually really pleased with the result. So yeah, I think if I were doing a more difficult perspective, it would have been a lot more in-depth experience. And if it wasn't such straight lines in both directions, like if the perspective was different and I had to do more diagonals, I probably would have done all this in Clip Studio Paint because they have a better ruler situation going on in there. Photoshop will only let you do shift up and down, and it's and side to side, which is great until you need it to be diagonal. I had a plan, like I knew what I wanted with my lighting, but again, like I just made it look believable. I wasn't trying to make it perfect. I used some lightning brushes for like the bases of cracks in the walls, and I kind of messed with them, went over them a bit. just a lot of refining and straightening things out that I painted in really fast before, and adding my lighting. And again, just keeping it really simple, not overthinking it, just trying to make it look believable enough that it's nice. So yeah. Going in now to refine the TARDIS and straighten out these wobbly lines and stuff. Again, if my perspective were more diagonal lines, I definitely would have used Clip Studio Paint. And then I went in and added a little bit of darker texture on top just to give it some variety. And then doing this lighting effect, this backlit kind of edge light. And the glow from the TARDIS windows. I wanted the area to look a little bit foggy because the fish swim in the fog. So I on and off am playing with the fog as we go here. Refining the lampposts. Again, I just kept it really simple, and I didn't try to get it perfect, you know. It's just like, this isn't the focal point. It's gonna be kind of blurred out anyway. Don't need it perfect, but definitely want it believable. So, and I messed with this like spotlight area, the lamplight, quite a bit, but it was very fun. And then started painting 11. I used sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice today. I've already been talking a lot though, so forgive me. I used a reference of 11 from the episode The Doctor's Wife, where the TARDIS becomes human for a little bit. Great episode. We won't talk about the author. He's shunned. But anyway, there was a particular image. I didn't know what it was from when I first found the reference, but then my mom and I are slowly watching Doctor Who again, and that episode came up, and I'm like, oh, that's my reference photo. Is when he's talking to Idris. So I thought the lighting on this is actually perfect for what I'm going for, and that's the same reference I used for the profile of his face. It was like, this is exactly what I needed. So I was able to use that reference a little bit to get my colors started, to get them to look right in this lighting, which was really nice. I got very lucky on that account. This is a really rough block in of the lighting. I actually do erase a lot of this later and go back over it, but I feel like it was really good for me to do this like first pass to kind of see, to be able to visualize more clearly exactly what I was going for. So I'm sure someday, like maybe if I keep doing all this, my process will get streamlined, but today is not that day. So this is just a lot of rendering. I did keep the line art on here for this image. There are a few places that I decide to paint over it to get the effect that I want, but I didn't want to take the time for this particular piece, to fully render everything out without lines. That just didn't feel necessary for this particular piece. So yeah, you can see that I start painting over what I'd done before, and I'm refining the light more. So this is the like direct light from above, the lamp light that he's standing directly under that street lamp. And again, it's just a lot of layering and blending the edges to get the effect I want. There's probably a faster way to do it, but you know, I wanted a core light, like a core shadow, but I didn't want it to be too dark, so I went with that bluish violet, and I think it looks really cool. I didn't like totally refine this cast shadow from his arm being bent. Like I could have probably done that more intensely with like the shadow of his hand or whatever, but I didn't want to overthink it. So I feel like it looks great how it is in the end, so yeah. I really love the way the light hits the back of his coat here. That it's picking it up like this. I don't know, I just think it looks cool. And later there's like fish shadows on it, and I feel really excited about it. It's just really nice sometimes to try something that is a little bit bigger and more ambitious than you've done in maybe a really long time or ever, and to have it overall go really smoothly. There were still hiccups and challenging spots, but to just you know, go through and to keep going, to keep pushing through and having it work, it was really nice. Okay, so I show you the full, like I show you the full render process of this hand, but not the other one. This is just the first pass of the lighting, and I'm color picking from his face to do this, to keep it consistent. The edge lighting on this, I was inspired by an equine artist, Sarah Dean Arts. If you like horse art, you should check out her oil paintings. They're amazing. She does a lot of backlighting on some paintings, and I think it's really cool. And I probably didn't do it perfectly, but I really like the effect that it has on this painting, and I maybe overdid it a little too. I don't know. I just wanted it to look really illustrative and kind of excessively magical is what I was going for. So here's one of the areas where I paint over the lines and I more fully render out the hand, because when I was doing that edge lighting on the hands, it was making them look a little weird, and I didn't want the lines to interfere with this lighting. So it's fine on the jacket and everything else. It wasn't great on the hands, so. I have like really enjoyed drawing jeans since I was a teenager and I first tried it. I just think they're really fun to draw. Something about the different, like the lines going both up and down and left to right, and the way that they, you can suggest form by just the way the fabric is and the detailing on the fabric. I don't know, there's just something about that I really enjoy. So I really enjoyed these jeans. Jeans are fun. I wanted to be able to use some broad strokes without painting over the jacket or the shoes. So that's why I selected the area, and the layer that the jeans are on is locked. So that made this very easy. I cut out a lot of my messing with layers, so don't be like me, be more organized than me. I am organized in the end. Like the hands, I fully render one shoe for you later, so you'll get to see how I do the shoes, but just one of them. Oh, I'm doing it now. This is it. You get to see me render this shoe in completeness. I just did them both at the same time though. But this video was like 2 hours long, so I had to cut stuff out. Yeah, every time I was looking at the thumbnail or the small image on my recording software of this, I was just like, yeah, this is coming together, which is just such a great feeling when you're painting. It's nice. Always step back, you know? Whether you're painting traditionally or digitally. Zoom out, step back. I didn't a lot with this one. I didn't flip the image. I didn't feel the need to. I probably should have, but do that too, because it'll help you see the things that need to be fixed, that are behaving janky. So also, another piece of advice: before you decide something is finished, finish it and then let it sit for at least 24 hours and look at it again. I used to just post stuff immediately when I was like, oh, it's done. And then I would inevitably see something that I was like, oh gosh, there's something I need to fix. And I already posted it. So I let this one sit. And it was good. And I'll tell you why in a bit. I started painting fish here. Pulled up some Goldfish references. This is my first initial fish. And I was just looking at the picture and kind of freehanding it, going crazy. I refined this one later. I might have cut that. I don't remember. I guess we'll find out. I was keeping it really loose at this point and just trying to get a feel for what I was doing. I'd never painted a fish before, so not like this at least. This is my second one. I don't show you the full process of this one either. Again, I'm just like trying to get the basics in, and I do show you the full process for one fish. I might have already said that. I only paint 4 different fish, by the way, and then I use magic of Photoshop tricks to make it look like lots of fish, which you shall see shortly. I gotta tell you, I actually really enjoyed painting fish though. Once I got into the groove, I was like, this is awesome. I like this. So this is the fish that you're gonna see me paint entirely. So enjoy. This bit right here was just like really zen for me. Once I get into rendering, I feel like I can relax. All the technical stuff feels done, especially when I don't have a difficult light source. I wanted the fish to glow, which I'm taking liberties. Like, I don't think the fish glow in the episode, and they're all much more muted colors in the actual show, but you know, maybe there's different kinds of fish in different places on the planet, so maybe he's somewhere else in this particular moment. And there's goldfish here. I made them kind of big, but there are lots of kinds of goldfish, and goldfish can actually get huge, so I think koi are kind of goldfish. Someone tell me if I'm right about that or wrong. I could be completely wrong, but I think they are. This one's head, like this one's face is a little bit crazy, but that's okay. No one's gonna see them super close up unless they're watching this video. In which case, if you know, came here from seeing the painting somewhere, thanks. At this point, I was thinking, wow, these are so orange. I would like more blue in the image, so I actually adjust it later so that I have that like contrast of more complementing colors. I love blue and orange together. Like blue and red orange and like really deep blue are like the vibe. I really like the combination. But yeah, here, so I had painted that one fish in full, and I was like, okay, now it's time to refine these other 2 that I started with, that I was just kind of getting a feel for what I was doing. I don't show you the whole process of these, but I do go in and I give them the same treatment of just detailing and refining and rendering them to look more believable. And I don't show you all of the fins for this one, but I do show you this fin and I think parts of the others because I liked the effect I had where I make them look transparent. So just wanted you to see that. So I get all the colors in how I want them and render that out a little bit. And yeah, it's just a lot of patience, you know. And then I start to go in here with a softer brush and erase a bit in certain spots so that the fins look like they are transparent, and I think that it looks pretty dang cool. right, and then I start copying the fish that I have, and I do one more little tiny one. This one I did really fast. I knew that, you know, it wasn't going to be super up close scrutinized on the image, and the biggest print I'm ever going to do is probably going to be 11 by 14, so they're not going to look weird, you know, at that tiny size on there. So, but you know, it was cool too, because I was like, oh, I've never painted a fish before, and then I'd painted 3, and I was like, oh, I want one more to look a little tiny bit different, and I was able to just like throw this fish out. Super easy, no direct reference, like, oh, I can paint fish now, so that's cool. I use the liquefy tool to change the fins around a bit. I do that with quite a lot of these. I copy them, and then doing that, and I also go in and use like the color adjustment tools to change the color of the fish a little bit so that they don't all look the same. And it ends up looking quite believable. I don't show you all of the moving around that I do because it took me a long time to feel like, oh, this is the composition I want, this is the number of fish I want. It took me like 3 hours to do that, and I didn't think you needed to see all of it. So yeah, and I wanted them obviously to be layered, so I put some behind 11. This one I did separately too. I wanted it to be turning back toward the light, so yeah, just threw another fish on there. Easy peasy. Didn't worry too much about the details. And yeah, then I go in once I've got the fish where I want them, and I go in and start painting the shadows on the coat, which I just think this looks really cool, and I'm really excited about it. I'm a sucker for cast shadows in art. I just think that they add something really dimensional and dynamic to any piece. So if you can set your lighting up to put a cast shadow, at least in one place, it's really fun, and it ends up looking really cool. And so yeah, give that a try if you haven't before. I kept these, pretty soft. I didn't feel like they needed a lot of detail, and the fins are kind of transparent, etc., etc. So yeah, I moved this shadow around a bit, fixed it up, changed the light on it because it wasn't working anymore. That particular value was wrong. And then I go in and I paint the fog where the light is hitting it. So I wanted the fog to be visible because the light was on it. And so that's what I did here. And then I play with the angle a little bit, and the layer modes. And yeah, I soften the edges after I dodge it a little bit so that it looks like the light from the top is brighter than down below. And I changed the background color a little bit overall to a more blue color so that the orange stands out, the orange of the fish and the light. So that blue and yellow, orange and purple kind of color scheme. And then I add that rim light to the fish from the window, and I definitely exaggerated it, but that's what I wanted. I wanted this to be really, really exaggerated. And then I add some glowy effects to make the fish look more magical. Add some like dust particles that are catching the light, and some sparkles. Yeah, because I wanted it to be so magical. And yeah, I soften those a little bit with an eraser here in a minute after I add these magical sparkles. Soften it, and then I go in and add noise. I really like the effect of noise. I had to flatten the image for this, so I saved a separate file so that I could keep my original Photoshop file. Editing Anna here. Totally forgot to tell you why in this particular piece I needed to let it sit before I posted it, because there was a thing I needed to fix. So I realized I have 2 light sources, and I took liberties with the first one. It's straight up and down, and yet I did a cast shadow to the side, you know, because it looked cool. And then I realized though that I had that window light and there would be a second shadow. So I added the second shadow. You'll see that in the finished piece at the very end, right now. Okay, bye. And that's it, we're all done. If you watched this whole video, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. You are my favorite. If you like this video and you want to see more in the future, please hit the subscribe button and like, and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think of this and if you would want to try something like this. All right, thanks for being here. See you next time. Bye.